Hi, welcome to another episode of Horticulture and Homes. Today I wanted to talk about food preservation. I thought it would be a good idea to put this video out to give people information as to where they can locate information. And if any of you have not already done a video like this and you do a lot of food preservation, feel free to go ahead and do your own video and link it as a video response here. But it'd be nice to have a nice little library where people could come and find this reference material fairly quickly. So, I've said before, I grew up with my grandparents and my mother canning and freezing and preserving food. But once I started doing that on my own as an adult, the first reference book that I used, that I still use today, is the Ball Blue Book. It's a small little booklet. It gives you all the basic information that you need about canning and freezing. And now even the newer issues have information on drying food also. So it's a good place to start. So I started out with this issue that was published in 1982, and then over the years I purchased a few more copies because occasionally some of the recipes would change and the books would be updated just a little bit. So that, I think this one's from maybe 1990, and this one I think was published in 1995. But now, this book is out on the market. It's called the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. So if you're not sure that you would want to do this, you just want to try it out, I'd start with the Ball Blue Book and then maybe move to this book as my second piece of reference material. Because you can't just be placing any ingredient in a jar willy-nilly and expect to be able to preserve it properly. The pH in the jar has to be that has to be properly done, and then there's also a difference as to whether or not you have to water bath can it. If it has a high sugar or vinegar content or it's very acidic, then you can water bath can. Otherwise you have to move on to pressure canning for the food to be safe. And then there are issues with how long each item has to be canned under pressure. So you really do need to stick to these recipes, especially when you're first starting out. Okay, so I think one of my next favorite books is this one right here. It's called Blue Ribbon Preserves. And the woman who wrote this has done an enormous amount of canning over the years, and she has won all sorts of awards at county and state fairs and cooking competitions and things of this nature. There's some great items in this book also. Then when it comes to canning, this may wind up as one of my favorites. I don't know yet. It's a new purchase and I have not used it, but I have the feeling this will wind up being a good reference book that I go to over and over also. It's called Canning for a New Generation, Bold Fresh Flavors for the Modern Pantry. And this is by Liana Krisoff. Okay, when it comes to drying food, this is basically it's kind of the Ball Blue Book of drying food. And it's called Preserve It Naturally, and this is book number 2. And the people who put out let's see what the name of it is. The Excalibur Food Hydrator. That's where this book came from. And you're able to buy it off the shelf. You don't have to buy an Excalibur, but I believe it normally comes with the Excalibur when you purchase it. Okay, I also like to use the internet But in using the internet, you have to be very careful with where you get your information from. So as far as canning is concerned, I like to either use the University of Georgia website or any of the land-grant universities that have colleges of food. They usually have some different canning recipes, and those are always good because they've been tested, and they're recipes that are come up and tested well, and they're scientifically sound. Another good source is the National, let's see, what is it? National Canning and Home Food Preservation site. I'll put the link so that you'll be able to find it, and that's through University of Georgia also, I believe. So those are all good sites, but be careful on the internet. Okay, the other thing I like to do is I like old cookbooks. So a lot of times if I'm out junking or yard sailing, I peruse old cookbooks and I look at those. This one's called the Cook It and Freeze It book, and this book I got after my aunt passed away. So there are some good things in here that I like to reference. Now, when I use old materials such as this, I will, if I'm not sure about something, I will go and I will look it up to make sure that it fits the criteria for today's standard of preserving food. So, say for if it were an old canning recipe, I would look it up under today's versions, because over the years, as more research has been done, the amount of time that you may can something may have changed for various reasons. Sometimes you have to lengthen the time, sometimes the time is actually shortened. So as more and more research is done, we have better information. So I do make sure it's updated, but I still like to use old sources. And then I have old cookbooks such as this. I think this book was published in 1905 maybe. Yeah, this one was actually, this is the 3rd edition, and it was published in 1912, but this cookbook came out in 1905. So I like to use old cookbooks too to reference those. There's sometimes some really good information in those. So I hope this was helpful. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon.